Hello there everyone, this is Mark and welcome back to a bit more Factorio Space Age, where I'm all set up and primed and ready to depart from Fulgora. More or less. More or less. Well, Fulgora is not really solved, per se, nor did I plan to do it. This was meant to be like a brief stopover, which turned into an extended tour, but I wasn't actually trapped here this time. Well, kind of. I've only just built the space launch complex, but I've also integrated beacons for the very first time, and it's like, according to this, because it's under the effect of 4 beacons, each beacon is offering at 50%. Also, previous comments said about getting very high productivity bonuses into structures, but these beacons wouldn't actually accept productivity modules into them. So either I'm missing something or that's been changed with Space Age. I do not know. But productivity is just found within the launch themselves to make these things more efficient. 4 modules, 24% productivity boost on these guys because, you know, basic modules. But we'll have a quick tour of the facilities on Fulgora. I'll show you some interesting things that are currently parked in orbit, stress testing themselves, and then we'll move on to somewhere else. So, right. Fuel making facilities. We are making solid fuel. We are making rocket fuel because, you know, we need rocket fuel. So we saw some of that up there over near the space pad. But this also heads down to our main facility. I've set up basic production for basically anything I need for expanding for the facilities here. Kind of. I say kind of because remember we've got that in-system ship that I showed you last time briefly. That's been whizzing back and forth this whole time. It's sluggish on the turnarounds, very sluggish on the turnarounds because its manufacturing capabilities and things aren't actually that great. But it's doing its thing. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this guy. It just takes its time to replenish, so I've actually got it building up a massive stockpile of ammunition whenever it goes to Norvis, because Norvis has the full-bore ammunition plant on it, and lots of materials for rapidly launching lots of shuttles to orbit, carrying lots of stuff. So it's a bit wasteful, but until I replace this guy with a more efficient design, it'll do. And this guy is actually ferrying around a bunch of stuff that I would normally be worrying about, or stuff that resulted in my long stranding last time. So it's got things like electric motors, it's carrying various types of concrete, roboports, plants, assemblers, all this stuff. This guy's carrying everything it needs to try and support a base on the ground. So that's why Fulgora itself is not fully functional in that regard. It does still need a few imports here and there. I think the big one is electric furnaces, actually. The only one I've not done. Well, I've got the main sorting stack over here. I've got a furnace in here smelting down any iron ore that comes, I think, from recycling steel. Steel girders. But just something about this entire setup is not satisfying for me. And that's because it's actually got an infinite cycle built into it. I feel like I might need to tear the entire thing down flat out to fix that. Which is like, you know what, let's go do something else, because I feel like this might be the same problem I ran into last time as well. Anyway, quick tour though, I guess. Banks on the left here have quality modules to produce rare quality stuff. Banks on the right are flat out efficiency and speed. So, you know, just standard processing. This is like high quality reprocessing, that kind of thing. Then it gets filtered out here. I pull out things like holmium ore, fuel and ice over here, which all gets shunted southwards into processing stacks over this way. Ice and holmium is being refined down here. I should actually make some holmium plates and things while I'm at it on this planet, just to get that tech checked and unlocked so I can actually start working towards it. I think it's this one. It's printed straight out of the stuff, isn't it? There we go. It's doing something. It's doing something. Okay. And yeah, this is not a full-scale production line. It will grind to halt in a little bit, but it will produce an initial stash at the very least. Put a nice buffer chest on the end of this one, and not that one, that one. Okay. And you will hold a stack of this stuff to send wherever I want to send it, please. Okay, so that's doing that. This little concrete processing. I've actually got this guy set up so that if certain sorts of resources are low, it will actually custom configure a request through the actual landing pad itself to ships in orbit. First time I tried to do that, did it kind of clunky. It's like I have to build like if we fall below a certain amount, output signal, and then arithmetic combinator, which is that because they're outputting 1, it's like request 100, and then it's just like doing that for various concrete types. Well, and this one's requesting ice, which I guess leads me to one of the 2 ships in orbit that are stress testing themselves. This is a more recent ship actually of the 2, but it's also one I'm not likely to build another iteration of, not in my current plans, because I'm not sure I need it in the first place. I just realised partway through all this being set up, I was very low on ice, so I built a orbital harvester, brought it over, and it's just sitting up there building up an ice stockpile, and then it can just be called down when required. And that's this little egg-shaped thingamajig. This is honestly the design where I kind of figured out what I was trying to do with the what was I trying to do? The Wayfarer. No, it was the Pathfinder. I am sorry. Doing these ships out of order is throwing me off a little bit. But anyway, key feature of this design: lots of storage space, self-powered. Kind of, but it's purely solar. The standout feature that I got functioning is the outer belt actually serves as the buffer for asteroid types. And to do that, I've tied the outflow, which are these 3 inserted down here. You see, like that one just engaged, grabbed a rock, and then went off again. It counts how many rocks are actually on the circular belt, and then it pulls the appropriate type if there's too much of it, so it keeps the entire thing flowing properly. Which actually works really well. I'm liking how this is working. Though one trade-off is, unlike the previous designs you've seen before, I've actually got the crushers wiring straight into and out of the circular belt, and that's the only way it's functioning properly. So as you can see, pulls out, then any kind of spare ore that comes from the crusher gets immediately thrown back in on the appropriate side of the belt, which was a bit of a tangle to work out. That's part of the reason why this thing goes back and forth all over the place so much. Just trying to fit all that together properly. But it does work really well, and it saves a bunch of space, which if we go back to the Wayfarer, it takes out a bunch of extra space and splits and things in here that you can see are dedicated just to solving that issue. And these guys, of course, it prioritizes feeding a small belt into the crusher, but then anything above that, it just gets vented into space, just so that everything doesn't jam up. Doing it the way I have on this orbital harvester prototype is like, I can have a much bigger reserve of any given type of asteroid rock if I choose to. Basically as much as I can cram onto the belt, and it works quite well. I mean, right now it's set to like 200 ice because this is meant to be harvesting ice primarily, and 100 each for iron and carbon, so nothing spectacular. But this guy could actually function more or less as a hauler as well. It would need turnaround time, kind of like the current in-system hauler does, and there it is in all its smoky glory in the middle of another trip. But this guy is actually much slower. It does take its time to rebuild as well, so this guy isn't got any kind of haste to it. Which brings me to the other ship design, which is also currently orbiting Fulgora, also stress testing. Because you probably noticed on this one, turrets are kind of clustered in tight around the center line, around the control room, and not along the outer edges like they are on the Wayfarer and the in-system hauler designs, where it's all along the walls and things. And that's because there's another ship here. Another ship. A ship of the Pathfinder lineage, as you've probably already seen. This is the Pathfinder 3, because technically it's the third one, third Pathfinder in the Factorio line, so here we are. As I mentioned, this one was trying to do something with the outer belt for feeding and holding onto ore and stuff like that. I didn't quite get it working, sadly, on this one, but I tried. I could probably redo this one relatively well, but the purpose of this one is actually like high speed, low drag is the core design philosophy here. So this guy is my first one built with uncommon components. So yeah, all the astral eclipse and things are uncommon. You saw multiple arms coming out there. It's my first craft with a center line of turrets for a very narrow ship profile and a very narrow defensive profile to preserve as much ammo as possible while in transit, though it does spoil it slightly with having a couple of turrets further out just to provide better coverage around the engine array. And if I'd done an outbound V rather than inbound V, I think I would have been able to save that. I'd have more turrets down the centre line instead. But the ship is so narrow, it can actually protect itself from rocks of this caliber, like medium grade rocks, without too much trouble. I mean, one's about to drift into range right now. And there it goes. So, about this is about as close as the rocks get, and then they get shot. As you can imagine, that saves so much ammunition when it's traveling planet to planet. But this guy's meant to do this because it's actually intended to go to the Gleber, with with the whole like degradable science packs that Gleber is apparently going to give us. This ship is meant to be doing a purely Gleber to Norris run on the science trail, and part of that is also its third feature, as you probably noticed from the flashing fuel icon. This is my first nuclear-powered ship, and I have been very, very happy with how it's turned out so far. Of course, because nuclear power, there's barely any solar power on it. All of this stuff is actually speed clocks to hell and back, so everything's running literally as fast as it possibly can, all in the name of the rapid resupply. So, energy efficiency to the winds. As a result, it's got 3 turbines, just tucked into the sides of the midships around here. That's all really well. Along with a single storage tank, which of course is used to help throttle the reactor. Things got a bit tangled with actually resupplying it, so when it wants a fuel rod, it counts that, it counts the grabber, it counts this little conveyor belt, which I found I needed to even get it over to there because it wasn't quite fitting properly, everything, so it got a bit tangled. You can tell from how the turrets are a bit jumbled around here as well, honestly, so yeah. But this guy's been sitting in orbit for a little while, and he's only burned through 2 fuel cells at the moment, out of its required 40 resupply. Not a stack of 50, because rocket capacity is 10, so this thing got overstacked with fuel. But it's been very slow to burn through it, actually. This guy's fuel efficiency is really good. I like it. I think I'm a fan of nuclear reactors, honestly, at this point. They are great. Gamma mutants notwithstanding, of course. Yes. Nuclear reactors is probably where the behemoth biters came from and stuff like that. But yeah, this guy has been sitting quite happily. I think I'll actually go ahead and I'll send this guy, because this guy can sit in orbit quite very happily around Fulgora until its reactor runs out, and then it'll dry up. But I'll just send it back to Norris. Also, I'm a bit shaky on it, but I've been crunching numbers, and I think if I get a Korvax cycle up onto a ship and functioning, I could actually have a ship self-sustaining itself with nuclear fuel, but I'm wondering if I might have misread something in the calculations. But yeah, this guy, as you can see, running about 220 odd or so. It's only got like 3 refineries going into those 5 engines, but these things are massively boosted on speed, so they are counting more. But this craft is also fairly efficient. It's clocking like 160 odd or so with no real trouble. But look how close by the rocks are flowing without getting disturbed. Every rock that I don't shoot on the way is a rock that I've not spent ammo on, and that is ammo that doesn't have to be resupplied. So this craft is quite happy to do the trip, and it's doing it in a respectable time as well, so not too bad, honestly, not too bad at all. It's still got nearly 400 munitions in reserve. It's absolutely fine. Then it stops. There's a launch there. That's because I've actually configured the facilities down on Novice to actually go ahead and pull spent fuel rods, and then those are shipped over to the your facility handling all the uranium processing, and that's just like reprocessing. That's all that's doing. And if need be, this one will then request more fuel rods. But as I said, you can see how many rock chunks are just being dumped out the side to keep those perimeter belts flowing, which aren't required on the harvester prototype. So yeah, I think I'll follow the harvester prototype for any future ships. Well, I like making ships in this, in case you haven't noticed. Anyway, we've got Holtman ore, we've got that. Is there anything else I want on this world right now to easily grab? No, the next big push on Fulgora is going to be electromagnetic science. I mentioned that there's an infinite cycle in this. The problem is that when all these back up, everything gets dumped out into the recycling array, and then if it's like basic materials like iron and copper plates and stuff like that, then it's just basically been destroyed. So if I leave this facility running, it's just tapping the smeltery fields and things and just constantly going, honestly. And that's kind of why I have a slight issue with it. Gosh, going back absolute age, there was the old comment, not comment, sorry, the old thing that I read back in my testing game, so this is quite a way back now, about a good way to handle this planet being to break everything down to its base elements and then recombine it into the forms you want. And that makes a lot more sense to me now, because if I was doing that, I wouldn't have this problem of this constantly reducing scrap reserves to zero as long as the facility is operational. But I still want to save on the materials by pulling out of these guys, so I feel like I should tear apart the higher tech area up here and then reconfigure it so that I'm producing the materials required out of the base elements, and then that's feeding back down into the bus lines, and then that is what helps determine all of this flowing to and fro kind of thing. It's like, you know, materials get made out of base components if there aren't components waiting to come in from the recycling. But then if base components is full, which will happen only if everything else is full, then it will not... the recycling will automatically stop until it's required to make something again, more or less. Some exceptions like stone or concrete notwithstanding, which don't really have a base material analog. Those would have to probably be dumped if there's just flat out too much of them. But like metal and iron and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm going to stop there, because I'd have to gut the entire sorting array out. I'd probably have to gut the start of the belts as well. So all of this would have to be torn out and redone to implement such change. And I feel like that's part of why I'm going to keep that, thank you. I'll put away the personal roboports. And some basic materials are being called away by the logistics network, as you can see there. But I want to bring the shield, so I'll leave that in there. And then bots, I'll just grab those and throw them into a roboport, because, you know, this place doesn't have a way currently to resupply any bots that are lost, and there is actually a small gap here where bots can be destroyed. If they're working over here or over here and they cross, then yeah. Also, future rail stop there. I plan to have rail stops up here as well for more trains and things, but then it's immediately into this area and using it as a convenient place later. But that's future plans, future plans, future plans. Must get off planet. Must leave. I am Mark III, been struck by lightning too many times. I do not want to be here anymore. Yes, I want to travel up to the Wayfarer. I should have gone on the Pathfinder. But nope, the Wayfarer is actually the factory ship. But yes. Anyway. I am Mark III. Enough ramblings. Anything else to say? Novice is still doing its thing. The reactor still hasn't gone kablooey. Actually, while I'm in space heading towards... No. I was going to say while I'm doing this, but, you know, this is actually a bit of animation you don't see otherwise. So, you know, here we go. Hello, Wayfarer. How are you doing, buddy? You've been sitting up here for quite some time. Just gathering dust for the most part, honestly, this guy has. Anyway, your destination is... Norvis. And I think I'll have to go down to Norvis because I want to break apart my tank down there. Anyway, Norvis. There weren't any direct YouTube comments last time, I believe. But I did get some feedback. Yeah, and I got some feedback via Discord, though. Which is... that I was treating this... I was way too cautious last episode. I was like going, "Oh, big scary technology thing. Oh, might go boom." But no. Because I was completely unaware that for these reactors to go critical and actually go boom, I need to have them cooked up to 900 degrees anyway. So, you know, like they're within spitting distance of redlining. And then it has to be physically destroyed. So going too hot isn't actually a problem. It's just it wastes fuel if there's no capacity to have the extra heat go into the system. Speaking of, as you can see, this system is actually ticking along very nicely, with 3 stacks currently plugged into it all. And this planet is actually basically running on nuclear power for the most part. See? Solar panels take over practically everything during the day, and then during the night, nuclear just takes up the slack, and that's basically all it's been doing. This planet is safe, apart from the fact that biter attacks keep breaking parts of the walls and causing problems. Speak of the devil, what was that? That was, yep. Oh, also, this base is picking off bots again. I think I might have to have a small outpost up here just to stop the biters from expanding into it, just to protect my bots. I'm not sure what the bots are doing going back and forth between there. I don't know. Anyway, right. Let's go ahead and get myself down to the planet, because there is that old comment from Happy Hafer that if I go to Vulcanus, because that's where I'm going next, because I want the better drills for the better... Toasty in here. I want to go to Vulcanus to get the better drills, which of course means dealing with the giant worms. And Happy Hafer recommended I bring a blue tank at the very least. And the only blue tank I've got is this guy right here, plus a ton of ammo supplies and stuff in it. You know, little things like that. But thing is, I'm not sure if picking up grids. Well, I just don't know if I can safely pick this up without dismounting everything, honestly. So I'm going to dismount it. I'm going to fire it up into orbit, and then we'll go from there. Okay. I should... no, we've got plenty of fuel. I was going to say I should bring some fuel with it, but that's not a problem. You know, it's actually been a very long time since I've been on Norvis. I've spent quite some time just sitting around over there on Fulgora. Who's resupplying it? I'm guessing it's the cargo ship? No, the interceptor ball has just left. It's not you. Oh, I accidentally left the whole thing of like get a initial supply ready. I don't need all this actually. Move that. And I don't think it got caught on camera, but it's like The launch complex was increased from 8 to 16 rocket pads, just to facilitate more rapid and active cargo transfer, as I started to actually use the in-system transport more aggressively to resupply my efforts on Fulgora. So this is just like a massive overdone launch area for whatever I want to do, basically. There have been times when these things have been launching. I mean, during the recent bid to resupply Wayfarer, this thing was actually it was launching from all of these. So yeah, anyway, let's throw the tank up in this one. Oh, the tank weighs a ton. Okay, sure. Wayfarer, how are you doing? You're not going to be able to hold all the stacks I want to bring. Pathfinder's idle right now. Let's actually launch some stuff into Pathfinder instead, shall we? Also, I'll co-opt some of these additional launch pads because they've got rockets sitting on them. I might as well. Let's speed this up. Oh wow. Uranium bullets are heavy. Who would have thought it? Rocket capacity of 25. Ouch. You know what would have probably been a good idea? If I actually moduled up these launch pads. Give me productivity, please. Make these guys as productive as possible. Because, well, anything making rocket launches cheaper is good. And I totally didn't just launch a whole bunch of rockets, getting uranium ammunition and things into orbit. Not at all. Well, I mean, this base is actually set up to specifically do that, so, you know, there is that, I guess. Let's throw away that fuel, please. Right. But yeah, 3 beacons at 57% each. 3 beacons 57, is that better than 4 beacons at 50? Who am I kidding? 4 beacons is better. So yeah, it's diminishing returns, isn't it? You know, I might as well just go for. I did actually, despite never using them, I long ago set up beacon assembly on this world because I knew I'd use them at some point. So I have been making beacons. I just never actually installed them anywhere. It's also a question of like how it'll fit into this. What exactly do I want to do with them? That's the other question. Can't do productivity. Don't care about speed. The only thing I can try and do is efficiency, I suppose. But then, how many should I do? Let's see what I can do about consumption. Yeah. Just have to figure this one out a little bit. Also, I did check. It's actually more efficient to send uranium rounds, like the magazines, into orbit than just launch the depleted uranium. Yeah, because you can send like 25 clips of your depleted uranium ammunition, or you can send 20 of the actual uranium isotope involved, which which is less efficient. So you know. Apparently I also need, my power grid doesn't quite cover this either. Oh, cool, it's in the blind zone. Right. Okay, here we go. We once again return to Wayfarer. Though much of the equipment from my tank and the munitions for it currently reside on Pathfinder. Like the fuel, that also expensive uranium munition rounds, stuff like that. Kind of curious though, if the Corax process can't be used to reprocess uranium, I think it can because of the ratio of uranium isotopes used. which allows it to be sustainable on a spaceship, if you get sent enough up to actually get it started. Is there a way to get more uranium? Like, can asteroid mining yield uranium? I don't know. I've not done any of this. But to make a truly self-sustaining ship, then either it must be able to sustain itself, or ideally there must be a way for ships to actually get their hands on it directly without having to go to a planet. Who knows? Anyway, we will be doing a speed test this time around. Wayfarer and Pathfinder both. I am, of course, sitting in Wayfarer because it is, Wayfarer. It is the more traditional one of the two names I mentioned in the last episode. It has the mobile factory ship. It's got a lot of the basic materials and supplies from my initial colony efforts down here, along with a few gubbins from the actual tank itself. Most importantly, though, it has the cargo landing pad. So, the thing that will keep the other ships from dropping delivery pods on my head is on this ship. But Pathfinder, much better power to weight ratio, better ammunitions conservation, We'll see who gets there first. But anyway. Pause. I will tell you your next destination is Vulcanus. Pathfinder, you are also pause. Your destination is Vulcanus. Here we go. Fire. And fire. I gotta remember that. This craft is much lower, mass to weight ratio, I believe. It's a 583 tons, this one, while Pathfinder 2 is a mere 340 tons, and it's got an extra engine to boot, and the engines are uncommon rather than common grade as well. Look at that, it's already halfway there, and we're not even a quarter way with Wayfarer. Yeah, Pathfinder is much better at this, honestly. Makes sense though. This Pathfinder is a later series model than the Wayfarer one is. And they're kind of geared for different things. They've got different yokes on them. This Pathfinder is literally rapid transit, all it's really geared towards. It's not even geared towards like extensive cargo space, it's only got one extra cargo pod on the side of it. Admittedly, it's tier 2 cargo pod, got to be fair. But Wayfarer, of course, is lugging all the hardware, like the mobile factory. It's got all the solar panels on it, because this guy doesn't actually have nuclear power installed. But a pattern I've noticed in how I play... Yeah, Pathfinder's already there. A pattern I've noticed in how I'm playing is... Every new... I've yet to actually clone a ship design. I've always built a new ship design every single time. I've built them with new specs and everything. And honestly, I'm fine with that, because I do enjoy tinkering and building a more complex and nuanced ship like this. I like making these ships. I wish there were more complex spaceship games that allow me to do this, honestly. Like, a lot more, because I'd bury my head in them and never emerge again, most likely. But, yes. We have got ourselves to Vulcanus. We are sitting here. We are doing just fine on our internal ammunition reserves. We've depleted our ready stock of iron, but we do have iron ore still in stock. Got to remember, this thing clears a much wider path as well. While the Pathfinder over here, how are you doing? You are. The Pathfinder's already resupplied. It's already ready to go back again. It's just doing its own thing. I don't know. Oh, I wasn't anticipating that. It's actually been dumping the uranium ammo stockpiles into its supply belts, because it is programmed to take advantage of any munitions we care to feed it. So yeah, it's actually been loading uranium ammo into its guns. Whoops. I mean, they're not really filtered through yet, but they are on the belt, and they'll probably stay on the belt. I didn't think about that one when I designed this, because it's intended like I can send up better ammunition types, and then it will use them. Mind you, I think Wayfarer is configured the same way. Except for the fact that Wayfarer's belt is literally jammed up with, yeah, set the same way. It's jammed with tons and tons of lower tier ammo. I'd never fed this one any higher tier ammo. Anyway, let's go to drop onto. You know what? Let's be safe. Let's actually fire off that first, and then we'll drop right after it. Off we go. Vulcanus. Home of cuddly creatures called the Destroyers. Welcome to the blasted volcanic soil. Need to play Vulcanus again. That's had some updates recently. Anyway, got to our landing pad so we can call things down safely. And yeah, there's coal around here. There's sulfuric acid vents, which we can tap into. There are trees which you can harvest actually for carbon, ironically enough. There's also something to be aware of is these flaming ashland trees rather than the regular ashland trees. Problem is when you mine these, they set fire to things around them, you know. But if you notice here, the rocks have a lot of iron ore, a lot of copper. They also have some new materials in here as well. Bash that up. There we go. Technology for tungsten carbide processing is now available, which takes tungsten ore and sulfuric acid and carbon. But carbon we can get through use of coal and sulfuric acid, so we can actually produce that industrially down here. And that's the start of the chain here, but as you can see, this place is very welcoming. Oh yes, look at all that. Now, you might have noticed the red on the map here, and that's because these are the territories of the local wildlife. And if I build out in these, the local wildlife very quickly goes, hey, that shouldn't be there, and wanders over to have a look and blow it, whatever it is, up. We are safe. I don't know if vehicles are safe, but our tank is probably going to be okay. But any physical structures, even so little as a radar station, honestly, will get attacked out here. But the problem is, out here is where a lot of the materials is. Well, basically, almost all the materials is. We've landed in the only safe zone. The only area unclaimed. Yeah, look at that. 159k of tungsten ore. That's got like 800,000 of coal. No sign of a worm right now, but we don't have the radar coverage really to have a look-see at that just yet. But Vulcanus is actually very, very good for solar. Like, solar is this planet's whole thing. And I wonder if the generation is the same. I think it is. But when we come down to Vulcanus, we actually land on something of a raised hill, like a more stable geological location, compared to the rest of the molten surface. As you can see, like, that's all messed up. Though in this case, it seems I've landed on the side of a volcano, actually. In my test game, this was a hill. In this game, it's a volcano. But there's also calcite, the other mineral here. There we go, got calcite processing available, which is allows calcite and sulfuric acid to produce steam, and that's a thing we can do. The steam can then condense into water. This is how we get water on this local planet if we don't have like an ice harvester out in orbit. This actually might be a good place to call the orbital harvesting prototype 2, come to think of it, because it should have a decent stock of ice by now. And we can also do coal liquefaction, which we take the raw coal and calcite and sulfuric acid, and then we convert that into heavy oil, and then that is the start of our oil production chain on this world. Compared to Fulgora, where oil was literally just sitting right around us and we could just scoop it up with our hands, more or less. No, this world doesn't let us do that. Also, you can hear there's like dramatic soundtrack going in the background as well. But yeah, Vulcanus. The resource on this world is the lava, actually. Problem is, I can't actually do anything with it yet. So, we're going to have to get some tech unlocked and things. I was hoping to spot a worm, but no, they'll have to wait on actually getting some proper radar facilities out to start mapping the surrounding area. Which means I actually should actually go ahead and call in some supplies. There we go. Gives me a bit more vision to boots. No worm though. Oh, that's another really big sulfuric acid field there. Also, in-system hauler, I need to tell you, after you go to Fulgora, to stop off at Vulcanus, please. Okay, so this is the lovely, cuddly denizen of Vulcanus. Very slow, but, well, that's building a comparison. That's how big this guy is, and this is a little one. This is a small one. 30,000 hit points for each segment. Resistant to most things. There is vulnerability to poison, but I don't have anything that does poison. And then a 50% physical resistance. Also, some vulnerability to explosion as well. But then there's a bunch of stuff here that, like fire, impact, and lasers, in particular, where it's immune. Then the segments themselves are 99% resistant to explosive as well, so that the head is kind of not. Now the thing is, pure numbers wise, I have enough depleted uranium cannon shells to actually kill one of these little guys. I think I can blow the head off one of these guys. I just need to hit it like 10 times, I think, with my cannon shots, like directly, and it'll kill it. So 10 cannon shells should be enough. I kind of wish I had my depleted uranium magazines, but you know, my ship ate those in transit, so what can you do? Also, as you can see, I've got like the survey rolling on to reveal the surrounding area, and like all these individual territories are kind of, each one's got worms of varying strength. This one's a small because it's got a small area. Then other sections got different size worms. This one is also a smaller one, but there are bigger, scarier ones than this. Anyway, yeah, I'm just parked up here, up on the volcano in the middle. So, I was ruminating earlier. It's like how, if I can get a enrichment process rolling, and then I'd have kind of infinite power through my nuclear reactor. I didn't think it was the case, so I've been going back through my Factopedia, double checking, and it's like, yeah, I can do it with the good isotope 38. The problem is I would be consuming 35, so no matter what, that would be a limiting factor. There is a resource that would be depleting to 0, so hopefully there's a way to mine uranium. Hopefully. I'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I've got materials to get started though. I've got roboports, I've got bots, I've got conveyors, I've got chests, I've got tons of solar power. And I've got a little bit of ore. I've broken down some rocks, but I've also got chemical plants and things for processing things as well. And a couple of furnaces too, a couple of stacks worth. Plus some chips and all that stuff. So I am good to try and get started. I don't have a good source of tungsten here though, because, well, there's none in the starting area. I think that might be kind of deliberate. So if I want to get tungsten, I have to take on one of these guys and win. But I've got my little solar-powered radar stations around the place, just surveying everything. The thing is, what do I want to get though? There's another volcano and some calcite over here, and some sulfur. There's a 3.6 million tungsten down there, and a very small tungsten over there. And there's a couple hundred thousands over there. So yeah, this would be a better tungsten to go for, this zone here. Of course, I have to thread through up here to get the worm. And then try and do that. First thing first though, some infrastructure will probably be a really good idea. Just leave my tank over there, don't need it. I need to get materials going. Full disclosure though, while I have been to this planet before, I did not properly set it up, I didn't optimize anything, I didn't really get it rolling too well. It's like I was experimenting for a bit, and then that's when I decided to come back into this save and do things here. Well, I actually decided to create this save, I should probably say. So I've not properly set up automated production of, you know, the the first major thing I want from this world, which is the big mining drill. Because, you know, big mining drill. Super big. But for that I need to set up processing and also all that stuff. Yeah, you can see fire. Now the problem is, if I destroy a fire tree with a construction bot command, the fire then starts toasting the bots. So, you know, repair packs are needed, or the bots might actually get killed if they do it too often. So I'm just going to go around cracking nearby trees and try and figure out where I want to start building. Because remember, I can't go in the scary space where the worms rule. Yeah, give me that please, thank you. Fortunately though, fire doesn't seem to really spread in these aspen trees. At least I've never seen it do that. Alright. So, my next technological goal is dependent on processing 50 tungsten carbide. So, it's like on the other planet, Fulgora. I need to actually go ahead and produce some stuff. So, I've got some stuff in... excuse me. I've got some stuff in that's kind of temporary and kind of not at the same time. Like, it will start things up and get some initial supplies and things going as well. Just drop those in there, drop those in there. I'll give you those and those and those. And these. And these. Give you another 50 bots into, give you them, give you them. Give you a bunch of materials. Please and thank you. I'll give you those inserters. And those and those. And now the bots will be able to actually start doing general construction and actually, you know, creating what I've laid out. Kind of. Maybe? I don't know. I don't need these anyway. I think the thing I'm lacking more than anything is actually going to be pipes. That's the big thing I'm lacking. So, actually I need more storage as well because I'm going to get a lot of stuff here. I should go and I should put down the spaceport and start importing pipes for all this. Where did I put my... Oh, I think I would have placed my starport. There we go. This is very temporary because this is a process called simple coal liquefaction. So I checked there is a more advanced version which has some different requirements. So this is just tucked away down the side. Coal mining setup is going to be put in. This is importing ice as a additional water source. As a backup measure, I guess you could say. That's what this is kind of doing. Oops. Just waiting on everything to get put into place and so it can actually properly get started. I'm still trying to figure out where... Oh, there it is. Sometimes I look at these lists and I swear I'm blind, I can't see anything. Anyway. All pipes right now will be imported because of course we're making them in orbit. We're making a bunch of these in orbit as well. So import some of these. Import some of these. We're not making power poles. Yeah, there we go. I need those. I need those. I need. Give me like, give me 10 engine. Get 10 pumps, sure. But yeah, as soon as the logistics network hits this area, they'll be able to start laying all the pipes and things, and it'll start to do other things. Now remember, I did actually tell my in-system hauler to come out here and help out. So that can actually be of use here. But I also need to, I think, just start processing all the loose ore I'm getting, because I'm clearing a lot of rock, and you can see I'm getting a lot of minerals and things from it. So that's kind of how it goes. So give me a couple of requested chests, a couple of furnaces for it to be running on, and then a couple of passive providers, and this should more or less do it. Or it would if I hadn't given all of my my inserters. There we go. Oh good, you guys are finally starting to wake up a little bit. Yeah, I made the mistake of actually getting them doing all this while having a whole bunch of extra like deletion commands around the place. So get rid of these as well. Just so that the bots don't get distracted too much. What so what happened was they're all in the air, they're all doing these deletion commands, then they got distracted, and so they didn't actually build the power supply to let them actually operate with all the power they were draining. So, you know, typical behaviour that, honestly. But we are getting ourselves a very tasty amount of tungsten ore now, so we're approaching the point where we can actually start. I think I can probably just smack out the 50 ore it wants me to make. There's a lot of stuff in here. And these furnaces are going to be chewing for quite a while. There's a lot of things. But my first time I dropped in, I actually dropped in without any of the extra supplies and things, really. I had a little bit with me, but nearly all of my equipment I actually had to build from scratch with... I had a stack of furnaces, a stack of assemblers, some belts and inserters, and not much more than that. So I didn't have things like the refineries, I didn't have pipes, I had only like one stack of power poles. I didn't bring miners for some reason, and I certainly didn't bring modules to insert in them or stuff like that. So yeah, it was like I was just here to muck around and I wasn't really trying too hard. Now though, I am kind of trying a bit harder. So yeah, I'm not true try-harding, I'm not racing. I should probably clear that one up straight away. But yeah, I'm here just to get stuff built out and hope that I lay things out properly. But I think all the robots I've laid down will connect to each other properly and it'll all build out, or it should do. What are you complaining about? Lack of parts, really? Oh, apparently I didn't actually give it any large power poles. Whoops. Doesn't really help that I had a power pole out of position either. So yeah, this robot here wasn't actually getting power, so that's why it wasn't expanding properly. Now it is, though. Go forth and expand, my pretties. Though I've not actually plugged a limiter into this to make sure it only imports ice when it needs to. Then again, do I want it to be doing that? Because, well, any water imported from ice, which, by the way, I actually have the orbital harvester prototype sitting in orbits, doing its thing up here. I've also got, of course, Pathfinder 3 up here as well, and that maintains an ice stockpile for its nuclear reactor. So that can... Oh, speaking of, there goes some supply loads just there, and pipes and things. So yeah, I've got things up here which can help out. Though for Pathfinder, though, it's actually sending out down leftovers from its initial construction, rather than sending down stuff manufactured on board like Wayfarer does. So you know what? Because this design is proven, I'll just go ahead and dump down extra parts that it doesn't need. And leave it at that. Yeah. But once again, supply pods coming in from orbit, just to keep everything ticking over. Very nice. Though I have also discovered, I wasn't aware of this, but it's only one cargo landing pad per. I forgot to mention that earlier. I found that out on Novice, or well, remote controlling Novice, because it's like I wanted to have a cargo pad near the uranium processing facility to request down spent nuclear fuel. So I thought, you know what, I'll have it do that. And then it told me that I could only build one cargo landing area per planet. So, slight shame that. I wish I could build a more local requester port, but it seems like there's one entry point and then it spreads into logistics networks from there. So one point of contact is all we get. bots are quite busy. And up here is the battery version. These are, of course, just straight copied out from Norvis. The solar arrays over that on that world. But up here we have our sulfuric acid production. It's going in slowly but surely, but there's a lot of it over here. This is then going to be used for production of steam and things like that. It's also going to be used in the production of our heavy oil as well, through the simplified liquefaction process. You just have to wait for the construction to actually get over to this area here, where some bots are getting there already, and so we are starting to produce some actual material. I just kind of want to get... I want to get that going, actually. What do I need? I need sulfuric acid, tungsten ore, and carbon. Carbon can be produced through coal and sulfuric acid in a chemical plant. Okay, so I can manufacture carbon. But right now there should be some spare carbon. Actually, I can just request carbon from orbit at the moment. Yeah, let's request some carbon from orbit. There is some carbon floating around up there. Primarily on the Wayfarer and Pathfinder, I think. Especially Wayfarer, because Wayfarer maintains localized stockpiles within its central cargo. Pathfinder actually does as well, so that, yeah, there's some supplies here as well that can be pulled down. The Harvester prototype does not. That's one thing I actually didn't think of in this design. I built this design specifically saying I want to get ice out of it, but I forgot to factor in that I would want... that I might want other ores that this thing can pick up by itself. Like I might want the carbon out of it, I might want the iron ore out of it. So it's just configured only to get ice, and it's very convoluted how it gets the ice, so it's not easy to modify. So, well, that's why this one's classed as a prototype. It was just like, you know, random thing. Doing one purpose, and I didn't think of other purposes while I was putting it together, for better or worse. Though it's still trying to resupply its ammunition after it made the journey over from Fulgora, which is of course 2 full space trips, one to Norvis and then one to Vulcanus, which it did in turn. The ammo survived that trip. It had enough munitions to do so, but it's struggling to rearm itself a little bit. I've noticed that about this guy. This guy is not very good at rearming itself due to, well, mainly due to actually the presence of only 2 furnaces and a lack of general power on board because of its size. A nuclear reactor would be very good on this one. Oh, I forgot to call down tanks. Wayfarer, you have tanks. Send them. Thank you. Coal liquefaction is rolling. We now have some heavy oil flowing. Up here we have, well, some kind of system producing light and heavy oil. Petroleum gas and light oil from breaking down the heavy oil. So that's doing its thing once it get the combinators down here. And then we've also got these 2 over here. Of course, we've got one which is breaking down the acid to produce high temperature steam, and then we've got the planet's water source, which is steam condensed down to water. Again, nothing really for this to do so far, it's just that it needs to do its thing. Let's see, this is made in an assembly machine. I need to do some requesting for this. Yeah, assembly machine. Passive provider. Requester. This is just to get the initial stack sorted out, so yeah. No, just blues will be fine for that. Do blues. Make me some tungsten carbide, please. Which also means sulfuric acid, but there's a sulfuric acid line going right next to this, which is part of the reason why I put it down here. That's all good. Then you'll request your carbon and tungsten ore to go straight into it. Bosh. And Bosh, and that's all you want. Of course, the problem is I'm holding all the tungsten ore, so I'll just ditch that straight in there now. And a bit of carbon too. There you go, a tech just popped for the foundry. Ah, the big production building on this world. Of course, foundry is actually kind of, yeah, a bit pricey. Lubricant, refined concrete, tungsten carbide. The tungsten carbide and refined concrete are a bit more tricky to get because, you know, water and all that stuff. Steel electronic circuits aren't too bad. Plus, but the thing is, because all this set up, I can basically import anything short of the lubricant. Well, and the tungsten carbide, of course, but I am currently making that down here anyway. But that's just chugging away down there. And yeah, we're still kind of in the bootstrapping phase. I'm still trying to get this stuff. I think I should probably try and take on a destroyer with my tank, though, because I think I've got the damage capacity with my existing munition stockpile to kill it. Remember, about 10 direct hits to its head should break the head. And I've got like 130, so yeah. My uranium cannon shells should do the job. I didn't actually plan it this way, to be fair. I kind of, I just like the piercing potential against biter bases. That's why I've been making the physical uranium rounds. But it turns out it's actually a really good choice for this world. So yeah. Question is breaking the head all that I need to do? I do not know. I do not know. Really? I'm out of... Am I out of those? Or am I holding those? No, I'm actually out of them, I think. I didn't bring enough pumps, it seems like. Okay, for the last bit here, I was kind of wondering if I should go ahead and shoot the worm, if I should have a full factory thing going, or if I should just go ahead and do a little bit of a turnkey thing. I decided to go on the turnkey thing because, well, I have some thoughts about future plans, but for now, I almost filled up this chest over here while I was out harvesting rocks with tungsten. Then I've used half a chest of tungsten. Moving back and forth. And because I have set this up over here to another temporary installation, just building the wonderful little toy here, foundries. So, foundries. And I've got an initial layout set out, as you can probably tell on my little map up here. So, if I'm going to take out a worm, which I think I will do, because my foundry service is encroaching on some territory, and I want this build area around here. So that's 2 worms on my hit list there. So I think I'll do that next time. And I also have the thought that maybe rather than going ahead and refining oil and things down over here, which will be, you know, being produced by coal liquefaction and so from the coal and stuff like that, maybe I'll just go ahead and ship it in from Fulgora, where it's completely free, but then I have to pay for the orbital launches to get things up into orbits. I wish base Factorio had some, like, I know the modern version has a kind of rail delivery system which allows you to launch cargo pods or something like that into orbit relatively cheaply compared to a rocket. That would be nice to have, but no. But with that in mind, I'm seriously tempted to make a new ship just going between here and Fulgora based on the Pathfinder schematic. So refine the Pathfinder's design a little bit further because, you know, there are a few shortcomings in it, things like that. But most of the systems here are fine, so that's why it would work okay. I think this would be, then that would be my new foundational class of in-system transports, which I'm a lot happier with compared to the hauler design I've got floating around. Though these guys have much lower cargo capacity compared to the hauler, so the hauler is going to be like base support. These guys would be like specific cargo runs for setting up some more interplanetary logistics kind of things. You know, stuff like that. There's also the fact, of course, that I've got when I go to Novice, I will get access to better ship tech and better ship refining and more stuff from the rocks and stuff like that. But I've never done any of that before, so either I hold off building a new ship, and, well, you can probably tell I do kind of like building ships in this game. Whenever I sit down building a ship, I spend hours on end just tinkering, putting the thing together and stuff like that, you know. But, well, I'm kind of getting a toehold here. I think the definition of a toehold is I install a thing there. Toehold is probably the ability to automatically build a rocket to get back into orbit. Kinda. Because remember, I don't technically. Well, actually, I do that in Fulgora. I was going to say I import parts from Fulgora. I don't. Fulgora can. This place, that would mean requiring like producing rocket fuel and circuits and stuff that I need for the rocket. So we're not quite there yet, but we are getting some foundries starting up here, as you can see. I also need to find the materials for an offshore pump, because I don't actually have that in production, but it's like 2 metal plate, it's not hard. Apart from the fact that I have been actually refining metal plates into steel to use for everything else, so that is actually gone. Whoops. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Except it's not fine, I actually require that. Hang on, I need to go and find some rock. I've not cleared all that, there's still plenty left, actually. Yeah, see what I mean? Most of this is actually types of things being brought in by the in-system transport. Though my other thought is, I think because this world is actually infinite for iron and copper resources, this should be my primary site actually for making rarer variants, like uncommon and rare parts. A lot of the material should come from here. Plastics and therefore higher tier circuits should come from Fulgora, because Fulgora's got the infinite oil ocean over there. But with the infinite source, that means as long as I've got power, I can produce the material and then I can churn it up in the reprocessing, and it won't matter how much I'm wasting, because I won't be bleeding any kind of deposit dry to produce it. The exception being, of course, things like the tungsten things I've got around here, and calcite, like materials that are being consumed slowly but surely. But getting the drills on this planet will help massively with that anyway. So that in itself might be an order. Let's check this. Molten iron doesn't care about quality. I'll need quality electric engines, quality circuits, and quality electric mine drills. Electric motors are a bit of a pain to get, but if I start using recycling to throw some stuff away, I can do that. Home Planet has been struggling to put together enough enough rare quality electric motors for me to actually go ahead and make the Mark II power armor. In fact, I'm debating skipping that level. I've got 51 in stock. I think it needs 30. Let's double check this. 40. Sorry, yes. Yeah, 40, but then it also needs all the rare circuits to make all those speed and efficiency modules it takes up as well. And in fact, I spot in the tech tree there is another... there is another one deeper in, which is not very far. Basically, as soon as I go back to Fulgora and properly establish electromagnetic science research, because it's the only one missing, I would get access to these guys. Mech armor. Which I think is... yeah, Mark II then to mech armor. So this is like a spaced out upgrade to the Mark II, and this is the highest tier. Be one with the machine. And of course it requires some Fulgora specific parts. And or power armor Mark II. Actually I need to make an equivalent power armor Mark II regardless. Unlike the Mark II, which doesn't actually build off the Mark I, so yeah. Big one with the machine. But yeah, that's future plans though. If you guys have any thoughts on that, then feel free to let me know, of course. I think I am just waiting on a couple of belts to... Yeah, I'm just waiting on the calcite to get into position. I didn't have enough belts in storage. And that means Wayfarer is struggling to... Yeah, it is manufacturing as best it can. But it's struggling. Mostly on the iron front, actually. I must confess, Wayfarer 1 has actually not been anything like as useful as I originally figured it would be, because this was built with that whole experience of getting abandoned on Fulgora in mind, and to provide some basic materials, which was better than no materials at all. And in the situation I got stranded in, this would have been a massive help. But with the hauler flitting around, carrying big beefy stockpiles of all the components I might care to want, I don't really have that much that I'm depending on the Wayfarer 1. It's just I'm not bothered to ship via the transport stuff that's produced on the Wayfarer, because, you know, anything I can produce in space, it means it's stuff that I don't have to lift up from a planetary surface into space. So that's good. That's all good. Though the other reason, of course, for getting a new derivative of the third Pathfinder for Speaker Hauling Runs is the fact that the in-system hauler is actually kind of sluggish. See, it's only managing like 50 to 152. And I'm not entirely sure why. These guys are low on oxidizer, they claim, okay. Oh, it seems to have a water supply issue. You don't have any ice. Ah, I understand. I see what... Okay. Apparently I forgot to install a filter on one of the inserters. So this is running on 1/5 of its capacity. Yeah, whoops. It's one of those little things that sometimes just slips past me just enough to cause a problem. In this case, if it had gone on for much longer, it would have actually crippled my hauler outright. As it is, it was operating at a greatly reduced capacity because it just wasn't getting enough water to run everything. And yeah, now that that's done, its speed has suddenly massively jumped because, you know, it's not operating at 20% of its water output. At the same time, I can't believe I did that, and I can believe I did that. Anyway, I should probably continue the tour while they try and get all this figured out. So, offshore pumps bring out lava. I can't fill in lava, by the way, so lava I have to make work around exclusively. To the smelteries, and there's a couple of here. These ones produce iron and copper in molten form from refined lava. They produce stone as a waste product, but then the question is, what am I going to do with the stone? I have no idea. I might just sink it into a recycler to delete it, honestly, unless I find something else to do with it. But just to keep the setup running, I'm probably going to need to do that anyway, at the very least, as the backstop option for when rock isn't needed for other things. What I'm really hoping for is I get to show you one of these guys firing up, because the animation cycle on these guys is actually pretty nice. But we're just waiting on some stuff to arrive. Over here we have production of copper coils, gears, copper plates, steel, iron. The thing is, these foundries, they operate at 4 times crafting speed, and they have a default 50% productivity bonus as well for mass producing stuff. Oh, there's a big shipment of concrete. But then, lastly, over here, we have actually got ourselves the start of a... Give me that. Yeah, we've got the start of a production set for making belts. So belts will be locally produced down here. Unfortunately, I had to yank off a bit of that and put it up there because this is literally where the territory of the worm northwards goes. Oi! Stop oiling my stuff! Stop eyeing my stuff! You go away! Go away! Yeah, and that's the other reason why this one needs to go. It actually has this annoying little loop here where it's which is considered as territory. It keeps wandering up into this narrow bit and then turning around and going back. These guys have got a turning circle on them, so you know. Rippy little fellas, aren't they? And yes, it looks like it's getting really close, but the thing is, the game actually gives you an alert if one of these guys becomes enraged and is going after some built structures intruding on their territory. This is just the guy wandering around, and that's how close he is. Then again, if this planet is infinite metal, Happy Ape did mention that massed gun turrets with basic projectile munitions could take one down without too much trouble, just take some damage. But if this stuff's free, then is it damage? It's just the time cost to do it, and if that's automated, then that's also no longer a cost either. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, things started and then stopped because of the stone. I think I'm going to have to do something about that. Let's tell my boys to install a recycler in this place. Might even need multiple. Yeah, install a recycler. Right input left, and then just because I like to put the inserters feeding into the access hatch on these guys. Though as you can see, that was immediately built. That's because I actually sent off Pathfinder 3 to Fulgora specifically to pick up my personal rogue report, which I've been using to go around getting spare rocks and things for harvesting, rather than personally having to break everything down, which was a very good idea. Gave the ship something to do, and it helped me out too. And then, at the same time, I used the spare launch capacity in the rocket that brought the rogue report to orbit. I launched almost an entire shipment of recyclers, so this planet has most of a stack of recyclers available to it, just sitting in the starport. I also added that, by the way, to the hauler. The hauler is actually hauling a stash of recyclers along with it. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. But yeah, as you can see, I like it to feed stuff into the drawers there, and that is very handily deleting the rock and letting everything else function properly. And there's the animation. That's another thing I like about these new Space Out things. The animations of the active things, they've been very carefully done. This is casting the metal from the furnace, it's dumping it out, it's aggressively cooling it, sending it through to processing, and where it's being rolled out and then stamped. Actually, no, it shouldn't be doing that. It's doing something with raw material there, but this is actually outputting. Yeah, this is working with liquids. Maybe that's the slag it's cutting up and it's resulting in the stone. That makes sense. So something I forgot to do, actually, I can see, is I forgot to actually get this one's priority override installed. And I might as well make them bulk inserters. Whoops, that's wrong. Don't want that one. That one there, yep. Because the extra ones on the end here have got a different thing going on. You will request iron ore. You will request 2,500 iron ore. And your request, 2,500 copper ore, because I think I derailed my train of thought when I was explaining this a little bit. So the pumps here filter with this storage here, so beyond a certain point these sections will shut off, which will leave this one to just fill in the last like 5,000 capacity on it. And these guys, now that I've configured them, are going to actively pull any loose iron and copper ore from breaking rocks and things around the world into the system, and it'll just smelt those down with a bit of calcite and produce some of the molten form to add to the system, and then there we go. Of course I have to do something like that with the tungsten as well, but that's all fine. Also note, by the way, cooling off. When the animation pauses in these guys, the molten metal visibly cools in what it's been doing. So you can see that's like cooled off now, so the entire system has to wait to restart effectively. Or it would realistically, but it's just like, if it's not in motion, inactive, then it cools off. You guys are saying you are short on power. Oh, you're not actually connected. Put another thing in there. And that'll sort it. Okay. Apart from the fact that I don't seem to have... No, you guys are hooked up. I don't seem to have molten iron flowing yet. Oh, it's missing inserters. Did I not tell you to call down inserters? I did not tell you to call down inserters. That's my whoopsie. That is actually a rather big mistake. Give me 2 stacks of those guys, please. Yeah, I didn't realise sooner because I actually gave myself a slight buffer by dumping some of the spare construction supplies on a couple of the orbiting ships above. So I didn't stop to realise I'm not actually producing inserters, and I've not requested them either because I have not actually run out until this point. Well, yeah, okay. No wonder nothing's really working with the iron being offline right now. Did you have to do that? You made me jump a little bit. But I do love seeing these guys dropping down towards the planet. It's a shame you can only have one spaceport per planet. I wish there was like some other way to do minor spaceports or something. Yeah, there it all goes. Notice, by the way, 4 module slots as well. These things can be modified pretty extensively. And I think I'm going to do, to do the quality thing, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a batch of quality productions for the materials that I want to be doing it with. And then I will plug them into the back behind these guys. So any base parts will run off into the main production lines and quality will get shunted out the side, kind of like I did on the Fulgora setup. Though I mentioned earlier in this episode, I think I will be tearing down a big section of the Fulgora setup and reworking it, just because I'm not happy with how it's currently working, and that's why I kind of shut the entire thing off, you know. Also, I can't build there because that is in hostile territory, so no. To get these things working, I'll just have to place one here. Ah well, could be worse. Could be worse. But with steel going, that will allow more reliable production of furnaces going, because that the steel wasn't really being made. But now that it's actually a smeltery working on the steel, that's all good. It'll actually work a lot better. As you can see, we're kind of struggling a little bit as well. We could do without... We could do without prioritising some of the metal. Pull. Yeah, you do that. And let's get some more raw iron going, because that's what we kind of want at the moment. I say, I like these things. But yeah, I'm going to call it there. I said this last bit. It might stretch slightly longer. I apologise, but cool industries, buildings, doing cool industry things. What can I say? This has been IMR3. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. All that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, give me those virtual headbutts I oh so crave. And I'll catch you all some other time. Like any suggestions for hunting the giant worms or things you want to try and do, just let me know. Otherwise, I'll probably build some more spaceships and then go and look at the jungle planet next episode. As you do. Actually, I've kind of realised I've been building all my spaceships off camera as well. Should I try to build one on camera for once? Given I've not really done that this whole time. But yeah, see you all later. Yeah, we do kind of need another one, don't we? One just won't cut it unless... Actually, I could just speed clock it. We have spare things, though. Let's use them.